Coming up on this episode of Nintendo Cartridge Society, Step 1, everyone says it's not fun. It's dangerous to go alone, so the Nintendo Cartridge Society goes with you. Welcome to Nintendo Cartridge Society. My name is Patrick Ellers. I'm joined, as always, by my co-host, Mark Mitchell. We've got a good show for you tonight. We are going to be talking about the news from the week, including the Smash Brothers Limited Edition. And then on Thursday, we're going to be doing one of two things. Either we're going to be talking about the Nindy Direct, which leads us right into the news.
Okay, today, Tuesday, August 29th at 9 a.m. Pacific Time, Nintendo will be releasing a Nindy showcase on their YouTube channel. We mentioned the possibility of this last week around the Nintendo Indie Spotlight that kicked off Gamecom last week.
Mm-hmm.
Remember, like, Damon Baker teased more to come.
And at that time, I said, do you think we have a Nindy Direct coming? And Mark said, no, absolutely not.
Yeah, I think I shot that down hard and fast.
Mm-hmm.
So kind of no word on how long we can expect this presentation to be. Also, maybe it's just like a North American-focused version of what we saw at Gamescom.
Could be a total rehash of all that stuff.
But maybe it won't be. There's still, lots of Indie or Nindy related news for them to talk about.
Mm-hmm. Games that we have heard about that we haven't gotten like closure on, like Killer Queen Black, like Super Meat Boy Forever, like Wargroove, and Shovel Knight, the new Shovel Knight campaign.
Yeah, I'm feeling a little unstuck in time, like Dale Cooper at the end of Twin Peaks, where you're just like, how have these games not come out yet? I feel like we've been talking about these games for these very games, except for Killer Queen Black, for like as long as I can remember at this point.
Yeah,
we've always been talking about Super Meat Boy.
Well, and I will never stop talking about Shovel Knight. So, but I feel like that's a me problem. All right, Mark, let's get out of the news. So either we're going to talk about that thing on Thursday, or Mark and I have been playing a Link Between Worlds. I've been playing a Link Between Worlds, and you've been playing Link's Awakening. As sort of, is this boning up for our Zelda NPC discussion a little bit?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, so but it means that we have like fresh thoughts and impressions on these games, and so if we're not talking about that Nindy Showcase, Nindy Direct, whatever it's called, we will be talking about these Zelda games. Okay, now the show's back on track. This has thrown me a little bit for a loop.
You're ready to close us out.
I'm ready to close it out because I said, let's get out of the news. I feel like the show's over. I'm ready to go to bed. What has been happening here, instead of going to bed, we'll say, here's what's going on. We are having this conversation about our favorite Zelda NPCs. That was an easy transition I should not have butchered.
I thought that was smooth. I loved it.
Thank you. So we got a tweet from one of our listeners, from Chandler at ChandlerLee_96. Chandler says, okay, I'm trying to list the NPCs, but in a series with 21 original releases, I need all the restraints I can get. So I can't remember how many NPCs are going to be on the definitive list. So far, I've just been let loose to a list, but go ahead, Mark.
I've been just let loose to list all but Link, and that's an obscene number.
Okay, so Chandler is correct, of course. We are going to come up with the single greatest.
Yeah, Chandler, bad news. It's not a list at all. Like, it's not going to be a top 10.
No.
It's going to be the definitive.
The definitive best. Do you remember when we did this with Smash Brothers?
Oh, we still have the bruises, the emotional scarring.
We do, and that Jigglypuff made it too far, I dare say. I remember when we did this with starting Pokemon. Again, bruises. Here's the one place where Chandler's totally right, though. There are too many NPCs. That's why we need your help. We need your opinions. Otherwise, Mark and I are just going to be here shouting tingle at each other for an hour.
Like it's some acting exercise.
Tingle.
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 Tingle. We need you to help us throw a couple extra words in there. So if you have your favorite Zelda NPC or your least favorite, you should email us at Nintendo Cartridge Society at gmail.com and become part of the conversation. Very appreciative to everyone who has already emailed us. It's very exciting. The list is good and competitive. And Mark, I haven't shared any of it with you yet.
It's true.
But people have some strong opinions and some interesting opinions.
As you should.
Yes, of course.
Okay, so here's the thing. We are releasing that episode September 13th, which means we will probably record it on September 10th, which means...
There's no probably about it, by the way. We have a Google Calendar appointment with the two of us and our special guest.
Oh, right. So, I mean, that might as well be tattooed on us in that case.
Right.
So you better get your feelings in now rather than later.
And in the meantime, if you just got extra emails lying around and you want to send us one, you can borrow my copy of Sonic Forces.
This program is going great, by the way.
It is going great. The game is coming in. It's going out. People are excited about it again, not least of which is me, because I like not having the thing in the house. If you would like to borrow my copy of Sonic Forces, send an email with your snail mail address to Nintendo Cartridge Society at gmail.com. I send it to you with return postage. It comes back to me, and everyone plays Sonic Forces. Not together, but we all play it, and then we can commiserate about it together. Mark, are you ready to get into what we've been playing this week?
Yeah, let's do it. Patrick.
Mark.
I am sorry to tell you.
What?
I'm sorry to tell the world that this entire week I played no video games.
No video games all week.
I would love to live vicariously through you and hear about what you were playing.
Well, prepare to be disappointed because I've been playing a lot of A Link Between Worlds.
Oh, okay, that's not bad. I thought you also were going to say I haven't been playing anything either.
I actually had kind of a chill weekend of playing a lot of games. But I played a ton of A Link Between Worlds. It's a game that I really like and missed when it came out 5 years ago. It's a 2013 game. Does that seem crazy to you?
That does.
Yeah, obviously we are going to possibly be talking about it on Thursday, and if we don't, maybe the week after. So I will hold some of my thoughts on it, but suffice to say, I think it's really good, and I love it. A Link to the Past is one of my favorite games of all time. And just if this thing simply allowed me to revisit that world in a slightly different context, I'd be like, yeah, one of the greatest games of all time, obviously. But I feel like it does even more than that. And I am enjoying it greatly.
Maybe we'll have to revisit our Zelda rankings at some point to include handheld releases.
That is a great point. We could also just do the handheld games. This is an off-mic conversation, I think. Although, what do you think we should do? A Nintendo Cartridge Society at gmail.com. I have also been playing Lovers in a Dangerous Space-Time with my girlfriend, Sarah. It was my birthday on Friday, and I invoked birthday privilege to play Lovers in a Dangerous Space-Time together. And it's a super fun game, and she was into it and wanted to play more, and we did. So it's a good game. Have you ever played it, Mark?
No, I haven't.
So you are 2 to 4 little guys running around inside a spaceship that you control, the 4 different directional guns, the engine, and like a shield. And so you have to be at these different stations to actually operate the ship, and it's just a fun exercise in communicating with each other.
Seems like something I would really like. I really like cooperative games like that.
Yeah, I mean it's like a mix between a normal space shmup and Overcooked, basically, where you're like, I thought you were on the shield. They're like, no, I had to fly us out of there. So there's a lot of good shouting at each other. And then the last game that I've been playing, I got my hands on an Xbox One S. So I've been playing Cuphead.
Oh, nice. The S stands for sexy.
Oh, yeah. What does the X stand for?
Sleek, small. I don't know that it stands for anything.
Not X, I guess, is what it stands for. But yeah, so I've been playing Cuphead on it, which feels like such a Nintendo-y game, and is hard, but not in a unforgiving, or it is unforgiving, but not in an unfair way. I always know why I messed up. So I'm enjoying that a lot, but we'll keep my impressions of it to a minimum because it's not an Nintendo
to our
game.
Xbox show.
To our Xbox show, Xbox, not even Disc Society. What would you call it?
Paying for we're all paying for Xbox Gold. Is that what it? we would call it.
Sure, yes. Xbox Game Pass Society. I don't like it, Mark. It's a bad podcast. Let's never listen to it. Also, wanted to point out that we spoke about Gone Home last week, and that it would be a fun game to pick up and actually experience, because neither of us have ever done that. Turns out Gone Home was delayed to September.
Why do we even do
new
this next
releases?
segment? Yeah.
Well, good question, Mark. But in the meantime, let's get into the new releases and what we might be playing next week.
All right, August 28th, Monster Hunter Generations Ultimate is out on Switch.
Crazy that this is already.
Yeah, I know. I can't believe it's the end of August already.
Yeah, that's true. It's back to school time, back to Monster Hunter time. You played a little bit of the Monster Hunter
Generations demo,
right,
on 3DS.
On 3DS, yeah. And
I found it very complex.
Mm-hmm. And so you think that you will probably regard this Ultimate in the same way that you regarded the original generation?
Yes, that's right. Where I'm a respectful distance, like a python, right? You admire it, but you do not engage.
Not like you are a python.
No, that's right.
Right.
Although, if I were a python, I would be a respectful python.
You think so?
I'd like to think so. A swift death. You can't be a respectful python and live for very long.
Right.
But I would die with honor.
Mark the Respectful Python. If you would like the rights to that children's book, you can email us at nintendocartridgesociety@gmail.com.
Rocket League Ultimate Edition is out today, and The Blob 2.
Also, it should be noted that the Walking Dead complete first season is coming out today as well. Did I see a headline earlier this week that all of the Walking Dead games are coming to the Telltale Walking Dead games are coming to Switch?
Oh, I'm not sure.
That might be a mistake.
I mean, it kind of makes sense if you're going to bring one of them.
Well, and they are bringing the most recent as well, the fourth season. So, there are games in the middle there. We'll put them all out.
Well, maybe it'll be like seasons of The Simpsons on DVD, where they're
Right.
like, here are
they
the
skipped
first
ahead
ones,
to
and then
season
here's-
25 or something. That's so weird. Simpsons.
And then on the 30th, The Messenger comes out.
Yep. I'm excited about that. Messenger looks so cool. It's like a Ninja Gaiden style game where it switches between 8 and 16-bit as you progress through time periods or something. I don't know. It looks dope. I'm very interested in it. And maybe we'll find out more about it on the Nindy Showcase. Probably not. Comes out in 3 days. Let's just wait till then. All right. Mark, are there any games on there that you're interested in picking up?
No, I still, from last week, am interested in Little Dragon Cafe. Is that what it's called?
Oh, yeah.
But I just haven't picked it up yet.
Well, we will check back in on that next week. All right, Mark, let's get out of the new releases. And now it's time for a regular segment on our show. It's time for 433. In 1952, American composer John Cage wrote a piece called 433, wherein a performer or group of performers didn't play their instruments for 4 minutes and 33 seconds. For the purposes of this show, Mark and I, our instruments are talking about Nintendo. That's the instrument that we play on this show. So, for the duration of one performance of 433, Mark and I will talk about something not at all Nintendo related, thus fulfilling the contract of the piece. Mark, let's talk about air conditioning. How do you feel about air conditioning?
In general, I'm a fan. Recently, it's too much. A little too much.
Recently, you've had too much air conditioning.
Yeah, it's been...
You've been working in a server room at work, and
it's not really a server room.
Mark works in a server
but
room.
But it is kept very cold.
For the benefit of some computers.
Right, exactly. And so it has gotten to the point where I am just always... I am currently wearing a winter coat.
Yeah, and it did cause me to remark, hey, what's up with the winter coat?
It was 80 degrees outside.
Yeah.
Lots of people at work were like, are you cold? And the answer is yes, I am very cold. I'm so cold right now.
Do you know where I feel like there's too much air conditioning? Anywhere in Arizona.
Arizona or Florida is the exact same way. I feel like anywhere where it's hot all the time and very hot.
Yeah. And Florida's got that mugginess too, where it's
man.
if you're not controlling what's going on, it's just gonna be water pouring from the walls.
So it's to compensate for how hot it gets outside.
Yes.
The air conditioning is the opposite extreme. Buildings
Yes.
are too cold.
Too cold. So you need like a parka and like a scarf just to make it through. Now look, I realize perhaps we're coming off as Luddites here on our Nintendo podcast. I do also I like air conditioning.
Yes,
I like to be cool and comfortable.
I applaud air conditioning. Hooray for air conditioning. I remember being in Florida and like where when I wore glasses and being inside in the air conditioning, walking outside and my glasses would like fog up immediately.
Yes.
Like the extreme in temperature difference was like so significant.
See, I had the same experience when I was in Appleton in college, but the reverse, that I would come in from the outdoors where it would be -4 degrees.
Oh, see, that I love.
You love coming inside?
I love coming inside and having it be warm.
Yes,
you know, when
that's
it's like
nice.
cold outside, like that's wonderful. I wish we could all experience that all day, every day.
Coming inside. But here, I don't want to be cold, though. I don't want to have that, like, I'm outside and cold. I don't want that experience.
No. I'm not saying that I want the cold part. I'm saying I wish I could constantly be experiencing that first
Being
moment of
freshly
like
warm.
Yes.
This is the first apartment that I've lived in since I moved to LA that has not had central air. We have like it's not a window unit, it's like a wall unit, right?
Right.
There's this one here and there's another one in the bedroom. So like we've got our AC bases covered, but man, they're loud. The air conditioning is loud.
Are you like white noise sleepers? So do you guys have like a fan going?
I like to have a fan going pretty much all the time. Sarah has become sensitive to like her hair being blown around by a fan, and so
or I mean a poltergeist.
Right, a poltergeist or like some really good rock and roll music, like a good guitar solo.
I mean, you can shred.
Yeah, that's right, and I do frequently in bed, and I understand the complaint is what I'm saying. But so yeah, I like a little bit of white noise, and like if I have the constant of like the air is on all night, fine. But the air conditioning unit in our bedroom has an energy saver mode, which is good. I like the planet, but it will kind of like switch itself like on and off, and like into like a lower mode, and then like back on to full power mode.
Yeah.
And so it's not a constant white noise. It's like a weird fluctuation. Why did you ask about white noise?
Because you mentioned that they were very loud. That air conditioners were very loud.
Yeah, it's just the one out here is loud enough to the point where if I'm gonna I guess we will never know. We were accompanied today by the GVSU New Music Ensemble featuring soloist Todd Reynolds. All right, Mark, let's get into the news.
Super Smash Bros. Ultimate is getting a special limited edition that comes with the game, a steelbook case, and a Pro controller. The whole package will set you back $139.99. Pre-orders are already up on Best Buy. You can buy the controllers separately for $74.99. The regular Pro controllers are $70, like $69.99. So you're paying a little bit of a premium. But it's pretty cool looking, and it doesn't look like it's just like a decal or something.
So let me ask you this: the special edition with the controller is $140, and the Pro controller with the Smash Brothers branding on it is $75, which means you're paying $65 for the game, which is normally $60, just for like the steelbook. All right.
I mean, yeah,
it doesn't seem like a good deal to me, is what I'm saying.
I mean, I guess if you like steelbook cases,
yeah,
then for $5, that's maybe not a bad deal. I generally think that collector's editions of games are crappy, like when they include a statue or something.
Right.
Like the statues are usually cheap.
Yes.
And you're paying like a really high premium for them. Like, I guess like the one time that you're like, in theory this has utility was when that Call of Duty, can't remember which one it was, came with like night vision goggles.
Like real night vision
real
goggles?
like night vision goggles. I'm sure the special, that like ultimate edition or whatever, costs like $200.
Right, because night vision goggles, as we know from Jurassic Park, are heavy and therefore expensive. But I mean, this at the very least is all stuff that you would use with Smash Brothers, right?
Sure. I mean, the steelbook case will protect your cartridge.
Yes. I mean, more than a more than a statue, or I mean, like
Sure, yeah.
I've got a collector's edition of Uncharted 3, and it came with like a statue and like a Drake's ring and like a belt buckle. And
Is that the belt buckle that you're always wearing?
around my neck, yes.
Yeah.
Oh, this little thing?
Yeah, the one that you keep tucked under your t-shirt that says "Ask me about my belt buckle."
That's right. That's weird that it's under my t-shirt. I expect people to read it through my t-shirt.
Well, your t-shirts are so tight that they can see.
That's right.
Like
it's raised lettering. That's right. But at least this is all like you will play the game with the Pro controller, and it's a multiplayer game. You're probably going to want to have more controllers on hand.
Yeah.
So at least it sort of makes sense. How do you feel about the appearance of the controller itself?
Well, if anyone listened to our summer game episode,
yes,
from last week, then you know that my hands are apparently filthy because when I was playing with the Wiimotes, they would always get dirty, and so I like this idea. Like I like a white sneakers or a white t-shirt where you're like, this is a good idea in theory, but this is going to get dirty so quickly
with my body oils.
Yeah,
right. Because the grips on the controller are white, like a bright white, and there's like a Smashball logo on the face of the controller, which isn't the same white. It's like a gray kind of.
Yeah, difficult to tell if it's just the photo, but I agree it does not look like it's the same.
But yes, I agree. It seems like something that we are, if one of us gets a hold of, it's going to turn yellow, or like, we'll be playing and like eating Cheetos or something, and it's gonna get ruined. But it's kind of the same way I feel about my Xbox controller, which is also white. I don't know. It looks okay. I don't love the Smashball like logo on it. It looks, I recognize that it's not just a decal. But like, I don't know. I feel like it looks dumb.
Yeah, I'm glad that it's not just a decal, though.
Yes, definitely, because that would be.
I mean, I guess I don't really care because I'm not going to buy this.
Great point.
So if it was just a decal, that would actually also be fine with me.
Now you're not going to buy it because you are, of course, a GameCube controller purist.
That's right.
Is that right?
Yeah, I was ready to be furious if the GameCube controller was not supported. In other Smash Ultimate news, Best Buy Canada's product listings for the Wolf, Ridley, and Inkling Girl amiibo suggest some in-game functionality. The listings suggest that you can add the characters into the game by scanning the amiibos, basically like unlocking them from the character screen. Seems like this would be one way you can do it. No one has confirmed this as a way, or I guess the worry would be the only way, but that feels very unlikely to unlock characters in the game. But it's worth noting that this process has not been detailed by Nintendo in any way yet.
Right. They did say that you would be unlocking characters regularly because it only starts with the original roster, right? As selectable characters.
That is my memory of it. Yeah.
Which is super small. But anytime you do anything, you'll unlock more characters, which is fun, right? That's a fun thing to experience. I don't even know that I would necessarily even want to scan the amiibo in to unlock the new characters. I don't know. What do you think about it? Do you think that's a good a good carrot for those things?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's fine as like an alternative, right? If you just want to scan,
you don't
want it over with,
earn it a different way,
right? But my hope, is that you'll just be unlocking characters like left and right, because that is fun when like a new one is unlocked and you have to defeat them in battle, so you can, like that whole process is really fun.
Yep, agreed.
Shigeru Miyamoto gave a talk at this year's CEDEC, the Computer Entertainment Developers Conference, his first time being there in 10 years. He talked about a number of things, like creating games with player-driven goals.
I thought this whole thing was cool. I read a write-up of it on Reset Era. But yeah, so he started like you said with this thing about like player-driven goals, and that like back in the day when he was first designing games, that it was kind of based on a arcade like quarter munching mentality of like, we have the goal. The goal is to make the player keep playing. But that like as the games evolve, that the players can sort of select and form their own goals. And that like Mario 64 was like the first time that like he felt like they actually realized that. And that like Odyssey is sort of the like pinnacle of that design of going in, getting, achieving one goal, and then having the total freedom to select another goal in the same space.
Yeah, that's a great point, especially in like Odyssey. It's like, oh, if you don't want to get that moon, you don't have to.
Yeah.
You'll just like find another one.
Yeah, Sarah and I were talking about Odyssey the other day when like I was back in it, and she was like, she had mentioned that like one of the reasons she doesn't want to go back in and like play the game again or play it more is that the moons that she didn't get the first time are the moons that she meant to skip, right? She's like, I'm not gonna drive that remote control car around in New Donk City. I don't want to do that. And I totally get that.
He also talked about Super Mario Run,
Mm-hmm.
talking about some of the trials they had developing a mobile Mario game.
Yeah.
One thing he mentions here is that the game ended up being too difficult for the target audience.
Yeah, that like the idea that you could die or like not achieve a goal and then like have to try the level over and over again, which was one of the things that drew me to the game, is that it felt more like a Mario game. But yeah, so I guess their way of addressing this was to introduce the Remix 10 levels, where even if you die trying to get through a level, you just move on to the next one, and it's all about like trying to do a small group of levels without dying, but dying doesn't stop you from proceeding, which is it's an interesting thing, and like something I didn't totally put together as like how it changes the way the game functions and how accessible it is.
He also talked about how he was surprised at the success of Pokemon Go, saying that he found the game too simplistic for a mobile game, and so he was surprised to see how well it was received, but now he respects the simplicity of it.
Saying that he was maybe viewing it too much as a console developer and being like, there's no gameplay here. Why would people do this?
He also talked about like criticism and game development.
So this is super cute, and where the joke at the top of our show came from. He like wrote up a little like flow chart of like what it's like to develop games and like doubt yourself and get criticism and feedback from people. So if you'll indulge me, Mark, I'd like to just go through each of the steps. Step number 1, everyone says it's not fun. This is everyone, by the way. Step number 2, even you yourself don't know anymore, and you decide to come up with new concepts. Step number 3, coming up with concepts takes time. You start to feel frustrated. Step number 4, even after looking at results, it still doesn't strike you as fun. Partially return to step number 2. And then I guess when you finally break through that to step number 5, you start to come up with various concepts and now can't imagine how to bring those elements together. Step number 6, because you can't string them together, it can't become a refined idea. You get more frustrated, and your thinking becomes less flexible. And then step number 7 is return to step 1, which means that no matter what, you always go back to everyone says it's not fun.
I feel like that's like anytime you do any sort of creative enterprise where you're like creating something from scratch.
Yes.
I think that's so relatable.
Yeah, that you're like you have an idea and you execute it in one way or another, and it's not going to be as good as you want it to be, and you're going to show it to people who are like, okay, this is not as fun. This is not fun. And then you yourself are like, oh my God, I'm terrible. And you just keep trying to refine it and add things and subtract stuff. Truly disheartening. But one thing that he said, kind of like wrapping it all up, is that even when getting the harshest criticism, to accept it with positivity, because that is the only way that things improve, both from like a workflow standpoint and just like for a quality of life thing. Just approach it all with positivity, like we do on this show.
Yeah, absolutely.
Also, if anyone tells me that this podcast is not fun, I am blocking you.
In an interview with DualShockers, Bethesda's Senior VP of Marketing and Communication, Pete Hines, spoke to the process of porting Bethesda games like Doom Eternal, and Wolfenstein 2 to Switch, and how it differs to bringing something like Rage 2 to the platform. So he says, we've talked about it, speaking about getting Rage 2 on Switch, saying we've talked about it, but it's a completely different engine and tech. The nice thing about Doom, Wolfenstein, and Doom Eternal is that it all uses id Tech. Rage 2 uses Avalanche's engine, so it's a different beast in terms of a seamless open world that you can play like that. We've talked about it some, still uncertain whether that could ever work on the Switch. So
I guess not like a big surprise there, but it's I guess, interesting to note that there are like engines that they're working in that they're like, oh yeah, that one will not work on Switch.
Yeah, I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if like a similar thing is what keeps something like Monster Hunter World off of Switch and stuff like that.
Just developed on a different framework.
Yeah, with like a different goal in mind.
Yeah.
Also, in an interview with IGN, Hines said that the decision to bring games to the Switch was hugely popular and that it was important to announce Doom Eternal for Switch right away.
Which is nice. I mean, we can obviously see it in how they are supporting the system, but it's kind of just nice to hear them say like, "Oh yeah, no, we've realized that it is an important like pillar of what we do." To say, man, Doom Eternal is coming to the Switch.
Yacht Club, the studio behind Shovel Knight, is teasing that there will be a first look at an all-new game coming to the Shovel Knight treasure trove. Honestly, by the time you're listening to this,
it might be in that direct that comes out 9 hours after we post this thing.
But the studio specifically mentioned IGN as a place to look for more information about it this week.
So, also, PAX West is this week as well, right? So it could be there. We'll see more about this. Mark, do you have any like idea or thought as to whether this is just the King of Cards?
It seems like a weird way to couch it if it is,
because we already kind of know a little bit about King of Cards,
right? Like, why would you tease
as like a new game?
Yeah.
But I mean the reason that there have been so many like different expansion passes or different campaigns to Shovel Knight is that they were all like Kickstarter stretch goals, and so they sort of like were contractually obligated with their audience to make these additional missions and modes in this game. But I wonder if they've just been so successful with straight up selling the game since it came out that they're like, you know what, we've got another campaign in us, we've got more ideas, and that's what this is. Or like, I don't know, I wonder if it's going to be the same kind of thing of like a side scrolling like action game like the other campaigns have been, or if it's something different. Like, are we getting like a Shovel Knight tactics game or a puzzle game, or what could it be, Mark? It could be anything,
which is always exciting.
Yeah, I mean, I like those guys. They make one good game that is actually like 4 good games. So yeah, I'm whatever it is, I'm there for it.
Mario Kart 8 Deluxe will be compatible with the new Nintendo Labo vehicle kit that's coming out next month.
Mm-hmm.
Previously, you've been able to control Mario and the other characters with the motorcycle Toy-Con that came in the variety pack that you could build from the variety pack,
which I've still never put together, by the way.
But the steering wheel, pedal, and like the key that you build with the Labo vehicle kit all have some sort of functionality as well.
Yeah, they released a trailer for this last week. And obviously the pedal is your gas, and you steer with the steering wheel. But you throw weapons by honking the horn, which I think is great. Because if you're playing the game and you push the throw item button and you don't have an item, they honk the horn.
Yeah,
so
that's really fun.
Stands to reason that they're always honking the horn.
Is that how it worked on the Wii U? Because there was a horn, right? But did it throw weapons?
Interesting.
I don't think it did.
I don't think it did, because the horn was just the A button, right? If you were like steering with the motion controls.
Maybe.
Who can remember?
According to a report from nextn.es, Super Mario Party will only support Joy-Cons. So like no Pro controller.
Right. No GameCube controller.
No GameCube controller. Sorry, Melee babies. This makes sense.
Oh yeah, this makes perfect sense. And I mean, it's maybe one of those things where like, it probably also means that you can't play Mario Party in handheld mode. Can we also assume that too?
Oh yeah, that's actually probably true.
If you're gonna have to be like twisting the controller around but I mean, Mario Party would be a weird game to play by yourself in handheld mode, right? Like,
yeah,
put it down on the table in tabletop mode, or throw it up on the TV. And play it that way. Yeah, this is not a surprise to me, I guess. It's just I can't really think of other games that require you to use the Joy-Cons.
Yeah. Arena of Valor, it's a MOBA, free-to-play MOBA, is launching for Switch next month. And we learned that it won't require a Nintendo Switch Online subscription to play.
Interesting.
So the theory kind of is that free-to-play games won't require a subscription.
So you're saying Fortnite?
I think so.
Whoa, that's pretty bold.
Paladins, no. I mean, I guess it makes sense. It would be weird to gate a free-to-play game.
Sense-ish though, because like both Xbox Live and PlayStation Plus, you need both of those services to play games online, and those are both subscription services. So like everyone else is doing it. It would be, I mean, I guess Nintendo just has been doing it for free until they get this thing off the ground. Which, by the way, second half of September is coming up real fast. Still don't know what those other 10 games are that are coming with the service. Yeah, I guess it is surprising to me that Arena of Valor doesn't require you to be subscribed to the Nintendo Online service.
And then finally, Peppy will be a playable character in Starlink Battle for Atlas, the Ubisoft like Toys to Life game that's
sort of Toys
coming
to
out
Life, yeah.
later this year.
That's cool. I like Peppy. I like Star Fox stuff. The only reason I'm interested in this game is that it has some Star Fox stuff attached to it. It makes me think maybe there'll be more Star Fox content in this.
Weird to just be like, and also Peppy.
Yeah, I mean, because when they were like, okay, Fox and the R-Wing, right? You're like, okay, yeah, I get it. It's a cameo.
Yeah, that's like a strong standalone choice.
Right. And they're like, but also maybe Peppy. I'm like, well, what? Do you think there's a universe where they release this game with those two characters, but not Falco and not Slippy?
I would love that actually. If they're
really?
just like, they're just like
just Peppy and Fox.
Yeah, they're just like, I don't know, like Slippy's on vacation, and
surely Grippy makes an appearance though.
Well, obviously,
and Crystal from Star Fox Adventures.
Definitely, she's there too.
Mm-hmm. Bill the dog.
Absolutely.
Cat the cat. Some of these characters are poorly named. Although I guess we started with Fox, the Fox. I hope the Star Wolf guys are in there. I like them.
Yeah, like that also makes sense to me that you'd have. I mean, let's just make it a Star Fox game. Yeah, just throw them all in.
Yes, we should make it Starlink Battle for like Lilac Galaxy is the name of the universe in Star Fox. All right, Mark, let's get out of the news. Okay, that is going to do it for this episode of the show. But before we go, we do want to acknowledge what happened in Jacksonville, Florida. There was a shooting at a Madden tournament. 2 people were shot and killed, Elijah Clayton and Taylor Robertson. And then another 9 were injured in the chaos and shooting that ensued. The gunman then turned the gun on himself and took his own life. This is obviously a horrible, sad, and scary thing.
It just happens way too much.
It happens a lot, and it's like hard to know like how to respond to it, or it's easy to feel powerless when this sort of thing happens all the time. And the only way to really affect any kind of change in this is to elect politicians that are interested in enacting stricter gun control laws. That's it. We've got too many of them, too many guns, and too many powerful interests controlling, an insane access to weapons that kill people. So think about that.
I mean, midterms are coming up. If you are eligible to register to vote, use that opportunity. Seek out, candidates who share your values.
Yeah, it's important. People are dying, and for what I kind of view as a silly reason. Like, you can like your guns. It doesn't mean that we should all have access to all of them all the time. Okay, Mark, let's spin this back up out of the serious thing and close out the show at high energy. If you like this episode of Nintendo Cartridge Society, please rate, review, subscribe, all that good stuff on Apple Podcasts. Share with your friends who like Nintendo. Look, we're trying to get as much information as we can about Zelda NPCs, so you need to put us on message boards or whatever, right? More people need to weigh in on this topic. Right, Mark?
We need help.
We
Desperately.
need help desperately. You can follow us on Twitter. I'm at Patrick_Ellers. Mark is at MKE Mitchell. The show is at Nin Cart Society. The Facebook page is just Nintendo Cartridge Society. If you like Mark and Mine's opinions, we write about comic books on retconpunch.com. Olivia Duncan made our logo. Our theme music is provided by 8-Bit Betty. You can get more of his music by going to 8bitbetty.com or by listening right now. For my co-host, Mark Mitchell, this is Patrick Ellers saying they could put Andros in there, right? Or his nephew, Andrew? Is his nephew's name Andrew? And thanks for listening.
Campfire.